Welcome back to MOMnation Unscripted. Now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey y'all, Katie here, founder of MOMnation and owner and operator of Team EvoAZ at eXp Realty, your go-to gal for anything real estate in the state of Arizona. I am the sponsor of today's show. I will link my page and information in the show notes so you can quickly and easily get in touch with me should you need anything real estate, any advice, or maybe you're looking to get into the business. I sure hope you enjoy today's show. Thanks for listening. Hey everybody, it is another episode of MOMnation Unscripted. Actually, Jeni kind of caught me on this, or was it Sherry? I don't know. Last episode, I think I said that it was season 3. Yeah, it's not even close. So it's actually season 4, episode 9 today. It's crazy how time flies. I feel like that it's a lot like my life. Like I was talking with somebody a little bit earlier today. She'll know who she is when she hears this, about how long I have lived in Arizona. And it's nearing 20 years. And I can't even believe I'm that old, A. And B, it's like, where does the time go? You know, I mean, I know it's so cliche and I know we hear it all the time, every day, but it's true. Like, why does it go faster the older we get? Does anybody have any answers for me? Because it's blowing my mind.
It definitely does. Even you saying that 20 years, I think it's been about 23 or 24 years for me. So yeah, same thing. And I still always want to say like, oh yeah, I just moved to Arizona, 10 years ago. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just going to shut up because then that gives away my age. So I just like go with it and don't tell people the truth. I moved here right out of high school 10 years ago. Yeah.
You're pretty much a native at this point.
I mean, I've been here more than half my life at this point, but I still feel so, rooted to my home state. So it just is weird that I've been here that long. It has flown by.
So how is it? Because I haven't hit that sort of tipping point yet. I'm getting close. But how is it when you think about, and Jess, you come from Pennsylvania, right?
Well, that's where my grandparents on both sides were from. I've actually lived in 7 different states.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So do you like feel this also where you're thinking, oh my gosh, like at some point I'm going to be living here longer than I've lived anywhere else.
I've actually hit that point. Last year was my 15-year mark, which is the most time I've ever lived anywhere.
And so do you feel like this, like you're a native kind of?
I don't know. I think if I said that, the natives would be angry with me.
An Arizona native, not a Native American.
No, that's what I meant. Like, I feel like people that have established because there aren't many actual natives, right? You don't meet a lot of people that are actually natives. Like if you're in a group of 15 people, like one of them is a native, right? So I just feel like if I claimed that status, people would just be like, no, you're not. I've worked hard for this.
So true. It's funny that it's a rare occasion to meet somebody who was born and raised here. It's really funny.
My husband Phil's born and raised in Arizona. So, I think that's where I don't feel like I'm a native Arizonan because I see the differences between us. And it's totally different when you grew up in a cold climate, how just your experiences are so different. And my childhood was so different. So, I noticed that between he and I and things that we'll do with the kids, just our upbringings are so different because of where we grew up. So I don't know that I'll ever feel like I'm a native. I don't know.
I think being from the East Coast, I think the craziest thing about Arizona versus East Coast is things we say, like pop, soda pop. And
yes,
I mean, you see Facebook posts all the time about like, what do you call this? So I think just the way you pronounce things and what you call something, it's neat to think about the differences.
That's so true.
For sure. And for probably the first 5 or 6 years that I lived here, coming from New England, okay, base of Mount Washington, New Hampshire, I'm buried under snow for like 9 months out of the year, right? And so coming here with all the palm trees was crazy to me because anytime we saw palm trees, it's when we went to Florida like twice in my childhood, you know what I mean? And so it felt like vacation. So for about 5 years, I'd be driving around, headed to work, doing, my thing. And I'm like, felt like I was on vacation. It was kind of like a interesting little mind switch.
It's so funny because when my mom would come to visit, even like for the first like 10 years, she would just get all these pictures of the palm trees. I'm like, Ma, they're like in the backyard. They're not going anywhere. It was so exciting for her to see them because it's, you don't see them back home.
Right. It feels like vacation. Feels like
Mm.
exotic. So anyway, how's your week been or your last couple of weeks, Jenny?
Busy. And the weather's really nice. So it's like, I just want to be outside. I want to take the kids out to get them off their screens and, since they're doing school from home. So I'm trying to get outdoors and enjoy the weather the best we can. And it's nice, that we work from home. So I can sit outside and the kids are riding their bikes or on the trampoline or whatever. And I'm just sitting there with my laptop. So I'm taking advantage of the nice weather. But yeah, I mean, can't really go too far away from your laptop because we've just got so much going on. So it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, so true. And that screen thing is something that we're also struggling with because, as you know, we're both in the same district. So we're both distance learning at this time. And it's like, as a parent, I have a struggle with before COVID hit, I'm like, no, get off the screen, get off the screen. No, you can only be on your no. And now distance learning, fast forward a couple of months and I'm like, screen, pay attention. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like a hypocrite. Is anybody else feeling that?
Yeah. Yeah. But, at the same time, I don't let them really on any other time. And I've taken their iPads away. It's actually been a couple of years. I probably won't give them back until they're much older. But so really that's almost their only screen time is during school now, other than watching TV, which a little different, but it's just too much. So many hours.
It is. And mine is all, fidgety and can't sit still and all that fun stuff. How about you, Jess? Are you guys distance learning? What's going on over in your house?
So our oldest two have been online for a while. Actually, our middle was doing through the school for the first semester, and then we actually just transferred her to Primavera online full time. And our youngest went back. He's a social butterfly like me, so it's just really hard to keep him down, like behavioral reasons. It was just the best thing for him. But our middle, she's got a really low immune system, so it was just one of those things that she was more anxious than anyone else, and it was just for the best to keep her home. So we did, and then the district wasn't catering to her learning style through online learning. So she was struggling with that. So we went ahead and made the switch to Primavera, and she's actually really enjoying it. It's actually 2 classes at a time. So it's been really successful. It's an accelerated 2 classes. So it's 6 weeks of 2 classes. And then we just alternate through another 2 classes. So I think she's doing English and health right now. And she seems to be liking it and keeping up. So, but yeah, it's really hard. She loves gaming and design. So she draws on her computer. So it's one of those things that, like, when you have older kids, especially, and I mean, we've got an age range here. So we see it on all levels, but the olders, they like to read on their devices, they like to draw on their devices. And so that to me isn't really electronic time, because they can do some pretty cool stuff on the drawing pads. And they're technically on a computer, right? And so their eyes needed adjustments, and there's studies that say that screen time isn't good, but it's really hard for a parent to say, no, you need to limit your screen time when drawing makes her, the happiest that she is. So it's a battle, right? It's a struggle of what do we allow and what don't we allow?
Totally.
Yeah.
Because what if that's what she ends up wanting to go into, later on in life. And so she's just kind of getting her skills developed and stuff now.
Yeah, we talk about that too. She'd be a great architect.
That's awesome. So my week has been just as interesting as yours, Jenny, because of course it's busy. Jenny and I work together, for those of you who don't know. And so we're communicating on a daily, but it's not necessarily, cool friend, hey, how you doing stuff. So miss you. Good to see you over the weekend though. That was nice. I got my sign fixed.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So Jess, I'm sitting here, I'm just minding my own business, working away. I'm not on Zoom or anything. And all of a sudden it just fell to the ground. Just fell. Yeah.
Huh.
No one touched it. Nothing happened. No one was even home. Just fell.
Wow.
Creepy.
It's actually kind of creepy. Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because at the moment that it fell, Jenny had sent me a text message, and the lady who made it for me, her name had come up in the text message for whatever reason at the same exact time that picture fell. So yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what that all means, but maybe I need to move now. Maybe
you need to sage your house or something.
Right. So other than that, just, a whole lot of work, try to get out and have some free time with the family and friends and things like that. But that free time's kind of looking like this lately, which totally sucks. But how about you? You've had a little incident the other day or yesterday.
Me? Yeah. I sprained my ankle. Well, so rewind, I've been running, right? So we've been working out. And then a few weeks ago, I actually had shin splints. So I had to transition from running to biking. So I did biking for a week and then gave it a week and then went back to running. Well, yesterday I went and looked at a job site and was dropping off some paint samples for deck colors. And I walked back into the backyard to check on two of my guys and didn't realize it, but the cool decking was different levels. So there was like a 4-inch gap and I just stepped and wasn't expecting it. And my ankle completely went sideways. And yeah, so I'm kind of a gimp right now, but I biked this morning. So at least I'm still moving. But yeah, it's been an exciting, journey of a month of fitness. So that's been good. It's actually helped improve a lot of things in my life. I feel like my body feels better. I've dealt with chronic body pain for like the last 2 decades almost. And I've gone to doctors and it's just really frustrating, the whole process. Allergy tests and acupuncture and chiropractors and but physical fitness and eating well has seemed to improve what I'm feeling. So that's good. But yeah, so we've been busy. We're slammed right now. Actually, we're like 3 weeks out on the schedule, but life is good.
That's awesome. And so you wanted to start making changes. Share a little bit with me about that in your life. And that's why you guys started the running and all. I've been watching. You guys are so cute, by the way. And I'm sorry you can't run for a little while now because I've been loving watching your posts. But is that kind of, you're just looking to make some changes, just feeling a little run down, feeling a little tired?
Yeah. So have you ever just looked in the mirror and just like not really loved what you saw?
Yeah.
I think we've all been there, right? So it was just one of those times, like, after the holidays, and I was looking at pictures from about a year ago, and I just couldn't believe I let myself look that way. And it's funny because I posted a before and after picture on my Facebook page, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, maybe it was last week. Time flies when you're having fun. And the comments were just so uplifting. And, my point was, I hate posting progress pictures because you have to see where you started. And then everyone pretty much got on there was just like, I see the same beautiful face in both photos. So it's just, I don't think I would have done as well as I am without the support. I mean, of course, you guys know how amazing Stella is. She's, the better half of this whole, and she's doing it with me. So that's very, we actually joke because of course I'm a little taller, so I'm a little faster than her. And so I actually joked, like I went running yesterday, she had a headache, she didn't make the run. So I actually joked that I wouldn't be as successful because I didn't have anyone chasing me. And so we just have this fun banter back and forth. So of course I wouldn't be anywhere. Arizona. I wouldn't be anywhere. She's the other baby, right? Of course I wouldn't be where I am with this fitness journey without her. She's been a huge motivator, and I'm sure she'd say the same about me. But actually a neighbor and a friend across the street, he's been doing this fitness thing for probably almost a year now, and he just shrunk down. Like, he wasn't a huge guy, we love craft beer, so we drink together on occasion, and not really now because of COVID, but I think we're all being super smart with that social distancing and whatnot. So but him and I text occasionally, and we'll go in the cul-de-sac and throw bags from across the way, just single partner. And so we were just talking, and he's like half the size that he was. Like, I couldn't believe the person that he is. He didn't even recognize him when I first saw him. He grew out his beard, so he didn't have a beard before, and like his face is super skinny. And I was just praising him and just asking him questions. And then I just sat on that information for a while, and I was just like, I need to do something. I can't just keep doing this same thing and expecting different results, because that's not going to happen, right? So
right.
I just decided I read some books and just talked with Stella, and then we just decided to make some different decisions. And yeah, it's been great. I think the biggest thing is just start moving, right? It doesn't have to be running, it doesn't have to be biking, it's just moving your body. And you would actually be amazed at, I've dropped quite a bit of weight, not really on the scale because I've actually built a lot of muscle, so I'm not even really looking at the scale, but I can already see body changes. Like, I have a before and after picture of my stomach. It's really helped motivate me. because of just the difference. Like I'm actually have a pretty flat stomach now. And I of course didn't before. I mean, I wasn't fat by any means, but I wasn't happy. Right. And that's the main goal, is just whatever motivates you. You just got to start somewhere. And that's kind of what I told myself. Stop.
Yeah, and you can feel it in your clothes too, right? Like your clothes just fit differently. You can button the jeans and it doesn't feel like you have to suck it in, or you got that muffin top hanging over, even if the scale doesn't.
It's funny you say that, because I haven't been like comfortable wearing a small long sleeve shirt in years. And I put one on last week and it was like, it fit me perfect. Like I was comfortable with the way it looked and the way it felt. And yeah, it's amazing. Just the way that makes you feel in itself is just so rewarding.
And tell me if you had this sort of insight, isn't it, to me, because I've been where you are, isn't it weird how you think back and you're like, wow, I really didn't feel good back then when I wasn't working out and I wasn't watching what I was eating and I was drinking too much or whatever it is. Like I really didn't feel good and I didn't realize it, because now you feel so much better and you're like, holy crap, like it's a huge difference.
Yeah. I get off on these tangents and then I go off on one path, but yeah, it's amazing how it changed my entire life. It hasn't just changed, my outlook on how amazing I look, because I still have a long ways to go. I mean, I still have a little bit of weight left in my face that I want to lose, and we're our worst critics. But yeah, it's my brain fog gone. Like I wake up feeling refreshed. I move so much better. I feel like I'm putting so much less energy into my business because I'm actually way more efficient at what I'm doing. So yeah, it's life changing, just giving yourself what you need. And everyone's walk is different. So what I need is different than what Katie needs, right? Or what Jeni needs. But yeah, just changing slowly. So like I usually do I never ate breakfast, and that's horrible. You really should. I mean, I usually work out before I eat anything, because that fasting actually helps your metabolism, and then pushing your body actually burns more calories. But anyways, and then I come home and shower, and I actually do a second workout after I do my cardio and just do some sit-ups and some arms and legs and stuff. But then I come home and I shower, and then I come back down and I make a protein smoothie. And it usually has like I think a Target brand protein powder and PB2. I love chocolate and peanut butter. So just finding things that I'm still enjoying. And honestly, on the weekends, I'm eating like crap still. And I'm not gaining any more weight, and I'm still maintaining the exact same fitness. And I'm not eating like crap, but I feel okay if we go out to like Creekside and we're outside and I can have chips and salsa or something fried. Like I'm not feeling bad about it, or even like a frozen burrito if I don't want to cook. I'm not guilting myself in what I'm eating. I'm just making sure that I'm working hard enough to compensate for what I'm putting in my body. And we're running Monday through Friday, and we're actually walking on the weekends then. So we're trying to run in the mornings, and I do my workout, and then we try to do an evening walk still. We don't do far. We just do like 1.5 miles in the evenings. And then we're usually doing like, 1.5 miles to 2 miles on twice on Saturday and Sunday. So, wow. I mean, it's like 3 miles of walking. It's like, honestly, it's like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. I mean, you can't give yourself an hour, then yeah, you've got to look in the mirror and look at your priorities. Time to reevaluate.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No joke. That's so important. I mean, I think that even especially as moms, we tend to lose that part of, hey, you know what? We're caring for everybody in the family, but wait a minute, we're part of the family too. Like, got to care for us too. You know what I mean?
Especially when the kids are little, right? It's even harder to get that time.
Totally. Oh, it's super hard. And you feel really guilty. Like, okay, I'm spending time. I worked all day. Now I'm spending time on myself, and like my 6-year-old's doing what, you know what I mean? But I find that when I spend a little bit of time on myself, I'm a better mom. I'm more fun. I'm more present anyway. So
patient, all of it. Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. And it's funny, and okay, guys, this is not what the show is about, but it's a really great conversation, and I'm loving it. But I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll actually formally introduce Jess. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was this doctor that was talking about, the 5 main things that you really need to focus on and have control over in your life in order to live your healthiest, best life. And obviously diet and exercise are number actually 2 and 3, which is funny because number 1 is something that I don't hear a lot of us talk about, and I don't hear it being categorized in that self-care area, and that's sleep. If we're not getting, like, there's some people, myself included, I have a kind of a difficult time as I need to meditate more, to be honest. And that way can kind of shut down the chatter in my brain. But if we're, as humans, not getting at least 7 hours of sleep, we're really depleting, we're really robbing our body of that repair time. And after 7 hours, like, is it between 7 and 8, I believe it is, fact check me, but I believe it's between 7 and 8 hours, your brain actually goes through and cleans itself. It's kind of like a little scrubbing. So when we're exercising, eating better, we're probably also sleeping better, hopefully longer, and giving our body that time to repair, which is so super important. And then you had mentioned the brain fog. Yeah, those two things are important, but that sort of scrubbing that your body does while you're asleep is really important too. So
it's funny you say that. I'm a bear if I don't get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Like, I have to go to bed at a certain time because I know what time I'm waking up. And yeah, I've always been that way. And I can't nap unless I'm sick. I don't nap.
same here. I can't nap. I can't sleep when it's light out. Like,
right.
It's like so sometimes when Jackson gets in trouble and we have to send him to bed a little bit early, it's happened like twice in his life, people. Okay. I'm not a mean mommy. The worst possible thing for my kid is if he has to go to bed when it's still light out. Like, in the summertime, it stays light a little bit longer. So it's actually not that early, but because he goes to bed at 7 anyway. So it's not that early, but he gets so upset. And I feel like I have that still from my childhood. Like, so I can't nap or go to bed if it's still light out. It just does not work.
My mom used to say that she thought I was missing out. She thought that I thought that I was missing out on anything that was going to happen in the world while I was asleep.
Well, as kids, we do, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. So, okay. So here's what the show's really about today, guys. We have Jessica Heath on with Heath Family Pools. She is one inspirational lady. I can tell you that right now. I have known Jess for a couple of years. I absolutely adore her. I can't wait for COVID to get kicked to the curb so that we can meet up again in person. It was awesome to see you once a month or, whatever our routine was way back when. And I miss you. I miss both you and Stella. Miss seeing you guys a lot. But I adore you, and I'm very interested in hearing what you have to tell us today. But before you get into this wonderful act of kindness that you were able to bestow upon a single mama here locally, can you tell us a little bit about, bring us into the life of young Jessica? Where did you get this entrepreneurial bug? Talk to us about the pool thing. Like, how did that all happen from little Jess to now Jess?
That's funny. So it's actually kind of a long story. Let me see if I can summarize. So it really wasn't young Jess. I never really envisioned being an entrepreneur. Like, that never really, the idea was never even really seeded. So it kind of just progressed along the way. I'm sure as many of you can relate, corporate life kind of sucks the life out of you. Well, that's where I was kind of at in my career. I actually started, it's really funny. I worked my way up in a security company. I was just a regular security officer, and I worked my way up all the way to operations manager. I had several sites. When I left, I was actually traveling for the company. I didn't leave by choice. The company actually started making some poor financial decisions and ended up making a bunch of layoffs. There was some executives that were making way more than I was that were laid off, but it made sense. I assumed it was coming. I was traveling for the special events department. So I was flying to California and living out of a hotel for 3 to 4 weeks. I was burnt out. I was done. Working 14-hour days. The pay was great for where I started, what I ended up making. I think it was well deserved because I was a workhorse for them. But basically, they wanted someone local, so they didn't have to pay airfare and everything else, right? It made complete sense. They were gonna transfer me here locally to a site, and I wasn't feeling it after everything I had done. I didn't want to run another site again. So they basically said, okay, well, this is your choice. Otherwise, we're just gonna have to lay you off. And so they laid me off. I sat around the house for a while. Not a while. It was like 2 months. And we cut back some expenses around the house. Pool service was the first to go, along with the landscaper, easy stuff that I knew I could do myself. Things that were more of a luxury versus something that are required. So I started doing all of those things. I actually started to really enjoy taking care of the pool. And I was like, this is actually kind of fun and easy, kind of therapeutic. And so I learned water chemistry. I learned, what the system does. We had a plumbing leak. One of the PVC pipes had burst. And so I had to replumb the pipe. And I was like, this isn't rocket science, right? I can do this. So I actually started reaching out to a bunch of other business owners here in the Valley. And I probably hit up 15 different companies. I looked them up on Google, Facebook, looked at their reviews, and I only reached out to 5-star and up. Well, I guess there's no up, right? 5 stars, pretty much all you can get. Maybe I want the up. Started reaching out to these companies. I got about 5 to 7 responses. A couple of them were actually kind of rude. A couple of the guys were like, you probably won't cut it in the industry. It's a male driven industry, right? But that didn't scare me because I was already in the security world, running off-duty officers, police officers that were off duty and just helping us out because we needed armed people as well at all of our events. So a man's world didn't scare me, and it still doesn't. In fact, I've actually made some really amazing relationships through the ones that actually did respond and receive my information well. Said, yeah, absolutely, come shadow us. One of them, said, hey, ride with this tech for a week and then you can come shadow me. We'll get you the basics, the foundation over here, and then you can come, see the repairs. So I did that. I started building a really small route. Anything I couldn't do, I would just sub out to these guys. But instead of just subbing it out, I would actually show up to the job, watch them, eventually ask a bunch of questions. Not eventually, I always ask a bunch of questions. I probably asked, since I was little, my dad and my mom, I've driven them crazy my entire life just asking questions. And I looking back, I mean, my kids ask a lot of questions, but looking back, like, I'm sure I am the person I am today because of all the questions I asked, right? So 3 of them I shadowed. One of them was a really successful guy in Chandler. Another one was actually out in Casa Grande, and his company was really successful. He had been in the industry for 22 years, so huge knowledge there, right? He was very old school, so I really respected his approach on chemistry. It actually taught me a lot about water chemistry and safe sanitary bodies of water. All of that stuff is so important when you're maintaining someone's pool. Infections and all kinds of other horrible things can happen if a body of water is out of balance. So I had a lot of fun shadowing these guys, and they continue. We're still in touch, so amazing relationships. We meet for training and coffee at times. And over the years, I've actually done the same thing with startup companies. So I've actually had a couple of guys come work for me as subcontractors just to kind of show them the ropes. So I've actually been able to kind of give that back. And that means a lot to me. But it hasn't been, rainbows and butterflies the entire time. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I've put my heart and soul into this company, and it literally is, my little baby. And it wouldn't make me the joy that I have every day waking up to run this business if I didn't have so much heart behind what I do. And the amazing team that I had. And that didn't come easy either. I've gone through, a handful of employees that just didn't work out because they didn't have the integrity that Heath Family Pools requires. We have a mission statement. We have, our shirts literally say #integrity across the front of them, because that's what one of your notes, maybe you'll ask me later, but one of your notes was like, what is your company? Like, what's the biggest thing about your company? What do you stand for? And that's integrity. There's nothing that means more to me than my word and the word of my employees, right? Because they are an attachment of us. So if they're out there, then they know that they're speaking for me, basically, and we're going to stand behind any work we do. So we're going to warranty everything. If we say we're going to warranty it, we're going to come out, and when we say we're going to come out, we're going to communicate if we're behind. Communication is really important when it comes to running a successful business, and I'd say that's our number 2 is communication. But yeah, so along the way, we've grown and expanded over the years, and we've went from, I think my first year I had 60 pools. And we're up to 250 accounts, and we're entering, this is year 5. So we started in 2016. So
yeah, I was going to ask you how long, when you actually, formed Heath Family Pools. So how long has it been around? So 5 years, that's a good amount of time. You've seen a lot of stuff. like you said, you've been through some people that haven't necessarily matched what you need to have in order to be a part of your company. And as a business owner myself, I have to ask you this, doesn't it feel so cool that you're creating jobs and you're putting jobs out there in the workforce? Like I got the tissue because I don't know why that makes me so proud of, all of you awesome entrepreneurial moms that I know, but in my own world, like that's the coolest thing to me about being a business owner. Okay, one of the coolest things, and it's a lot of work, like you said, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There's when you own your own business, it's not all glamorous like a lot of people think it is by any means. But there are some really wonderful opportunities to give back to the community, like you said, and like a story we're gonna talk about in a moment. But that's, to me, so huge that in a world that we live in today, to be able to give another family an opportunity and to just to have a job available for another family, I just think is so giant.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think the biggest part of that is to not only be able to give jobs, but to create a family. So Heath Family Pools, the reason it got its name was because I didn't want it to just be my family. So it was me, and then my brother came out here, which is part of the reason why I wanted to name it that. And he actually left, and then it turned into more of a passion of mine to create a family environment to where my team was then family, as well as our customers. So, and what you said about this not being easy, you can't even touch the surface to try to explain to someone when you care so much about something, how much you internalize. So like there's times where we'll get a negative review for something completely that was just a miscommunication, right? It will bother me. It will literally tear me up just because I know that that's not what we stand for, right? I've spent Saturdays on the phone with customers just going over the process and trying to figure out, what happened. Let's talk this through. I definitely don't want you to feel like I'm trying to change your opinion, but we need to work through whatever the issue was, and then let's fix it. Let's make it better. There's no reason for a negative review. I want you to walk away with a great experience, right? And so at the end of the day, you put so much heart into something. It's a lot like raising kids, right? You put so much blood, sweat, and tears into raising these little babies, and they do something wrong, and then you internalize it, right? It's no different than that feeling that you feel like you failed as a parent. Well, when I get a negative review, like it literally hurts my heart. And so when I say I put so much thought and care and feeling into this company, it's an understatement because it literally drives my emotions. And it makes me better, right? It makes me a better business owner, makes me a better person every time someone holds me accountable. And not necessarily that we've done something wrong, because it's often just a miscommunication, right? But it's being able to communicate on a level that a lot of people just don't get to experience because people don't take the time. People usually react instead of, take approach of, well, let's just listen. What's going on? Let's listen for a change. And I think that's huge in every aspect of your world, right? Not just owning a business, parenting. You stop and listen to your kids. They're telling you something, and I can take my own advice on that because I'm often so busy that I don't get time to just stop and listen. If they're communicating something, I'm reacting to whatever I'm experiencing through the stress of my day, and I'm not really listening. So it's huge to sit there and think, what are they experiencing in this moment to make them react this way?
I think that's giant too. And I think it's also a huge life lesson because a lot of times people are it's fight or flight, right? Rather than just take a deep breath so that your body is not in fight or flight. Because when we breathe very deeply, our body's like, ooh, it's vacation, right? Because
Yep.
I mean, that's all your body knows. Doesn't really understand what's going on out here, right? So you take a deep breath and then we can have an adult conversation about this. I can take it. Please tell me, what you were dissatisfied with. I do the same things. So when we come upon a situation with clients that didn't go quite according to plan or like it normally does, I do my best to do the same thing, I should say. Jenny's like, yeah, right. Not every time. Because sometimes it is. And it depends on what day it's getting me at too, right? Like, are there family things going on or other things going on where I don't have enough energy. I'm doing my best, but I don't have enough energy to stop, take a deep breath and pull my body out of fight or flight mode. I have also found, and maybe you have too, that those are such big learning experiences. And if we look at it in a different way, it's really hard because I take it in the heart too, and I feel hurt too. But if we try not to do that and just take in the information as a learning experience, I've actually created new systems, made new hires, and done things in my business based on those situations and those feedback that have catapulted our entire team so in such a so far and in such a big direction that I'm grateful that I had that sort of scenario with that client. Does that make sense? Do you ever go through that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
I can't come up with an example, but yeah, absolutely. I can completely relate to that.
It's crazy being a business owner, man. I mean, like the emotions. Just nuts.
Yep.
And I think
And not
it goes
just yours,
to,
right?
Exactly.
I think it goes with the integrity that you have on your shirt. If you didn't care about those reviews, you know, that wouldn't play into the integrity that you're bringing to your business. And that just goes to show who you are and why you've grown and you're, you know, become so successful in just those 5 years. You've grown significantly. And that clearly is because you care. You know, if you didn't, you would just be another person out there and people wouldn't be coming back to you and referring you to their friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's huge. You'd be amazed at the industry. Katie, your industry is pretty saturated too, but the pool industry, I mean, if you think you get a truck full of chemicals, a brush and a net, and go clean a pool, there's a lot more to it. But every year we get those guys that are in the industry just to you know, they're out of a job and they think they can do this because it's a quick funded, low money starter business. You know, it's not rocket science, and if you actually put some energy into it, you could be successful at it. But without the proper resources and spending the time and knowledge that it takes to actually be successful and put the care behind it, like Jeni was saying, you won't make it very far. And there's a lot of people that won't answer their phone if something goes wrong, and they just dodge their customers. I mean, you don't know how many times either Penny or myself are talking to someone. Penny's my admin, she's my office manager. We're talking to someone and they're like, this is so refreshing to hear, and I'm so glad that you picked up the phone, and thank you for, you know, showing up on time. And like it's not I wouldn't say it's easy. I don't want to put down the energy and the work that we do, but it's not a hard industry to be successful in if you actually care about what you're doing. I think we've brought it up another notch on top of that by making sure that we have that integrity and that honesty. And at the end of the day, I really do care about every single one of my customers. They're not just a paycheck to me. So yeah, Jeni, I think you're completely right. It has taken me to that next level, and I couldn't run a business without it. You know, my heart is just too into it to do it any other way.
And it 100% shows. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And in any industry, mine for sure, but I think in any industry, there's, you know, those that they dodge their clients, they dodge the phone calls, they don't want to have any sort of interaction if it's not, you know, super positive. And that's just, it's certainly not somebody I want to do business with. I want somebody to be able to own up to something that they did, if they did, or call me out on my crap if I'm being crazy, you know what I mean? Because then there's that too, you know? But yeah, mixed bag when you're a business owner, for sure. It's never a dull moment. And you meet a lot of people along the way. And
a lot of amazing people.
A lot of amazing people. And you have a lot of opportunities to connect with amazing people, or a lot of opportunities to give back and to help super amazing people that might need it. So there's one story in particular that you have done just that recently. Can you tell us just a little bit about how that all came about and who this gal is and why you did what you did?
Yeah, absolutely. So rewind, this was a few months ago. Actually, I think it was right before Thanksgiving. Kristen, actually, Sharper Edge Painting, she actually tagged me in a post. It was a really neat thread. So it was basically, we're prepping for the holidays. It was a Santan Valley Facebook group, I believe. But the thread basically said, if you need something, we want to hear about it. Post something that your family could need, and let's keep engaging on this post to see if we can help each other, whether it's trading, like, you know, a baby swing, or helping someone with a need that they need that a tradesman can help on, right? So it was just put something up that you or your family need, and let's see how we can help each other. And so further down on the post, someone had mentioned that they needed help with their pool. I don't believe she went into any detail, but Kristen tagged me in it. And then I reached out to her via private message, and we just started talking, and I asked her what her needs were, and she confided in me about some personal stuff that went down in her life recently. She had just lost her husband. He had been battling some medical issues, but this was a sudden thing. It was really sad. It wasn't COVID related, but yeah, it was very shocking to their family. And you could just see the person she was. She wasn't seeking help just because she was going to use and abuse, right? You could genuinely feel the connection that she was trying to establish with me via conversation. So I actually sent one of my texts out just to kind of comb over everything. Her husband took care of the pool. So the pool had been neglected since he was in the hospital, and it had been a few months. So the pool was in rough shape. The pump wasn't working. The impeller needed replaced. She had some air leaks going on. So I went out. Oh, actually, there was one more thing too. So the A&A leaf canister, it's basically a secondary leaf trap. So once the water comes in through the system, the leaves get trapped in there first, and then it goes into the pump. So the pump basket gets anything after that. But the whole canister was cracked. And so we found that out the next week. Basically, we drained the pool, we chlorine washed the pool, we fixed the impeller, and then the leaf canister is kind of an expensive part. I mean, it's like a $500-600 part. So I was, of course, going to come out of pocket if I needed to for it, because I told her that I would take care of the account. But I actually reached out to a couple of our vendors. So A&A and Pentair was actually going to give me a brand new pool pump. We just needed the impeller. So they actually just gave me the impeller. And then A&A gave me a brand new leaf canister and mailed it straight to her house. So it's amazing when you surround yourself with like-minded people and you really want to do some good out there, what people will do to help support that mission. And I can't say enough about the actual quality representatives that I have support. Donated this leaf canister, and of course we did the labor. When it was all said and done, I think we did just under $2,000 worth of work at the property, and she was just tickled pink. And it's not, for me, it's not about, her reaction to what we did. It's not about, honestly, it wasn't even about figuring out whether or not she really needed help. For me, it was the act of giving, and it's definitely one of my love languages is to give. There's nothing like being able to help someone that can't help themselves. And I think that's really important, which is why I asked her to pay it forward. For me, I think that if, as a kid, I saw the movie Pay It Forward, and it's been life-changing for me. I didn't have a super easy childhood. And that was one thing for me, that I was going to do something different to change my life. And it empowered me to make a difference in other people's lives. And that's what I want my kindness to then do, is just spiral through and continue to help other people. So I think that was my main mission, was just, she was in need, and I had the means to help her. And she had already said, when I said pay it forward, her response was, we do things all the time to give back to our community, but of course we will continue to do this. So it was really refreshing to know that she's already paying it forward, and I could help her in a moment of need, even though I know how hard it is to ask for help. It's one of my biggest flaws is, I have a sprained ankle right now, and I walked all the way upstairs to comb my hair before the Zoom call, and then walked all the way down to the basement to grab my iPad, and then all the way back up. And Stella's like, "What are you doing? Just ask me and I'll go get the stuff for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It's just really hard to ask for help." So just for someone to put themselves out there is huge. So we should just, as a community collectively, it doesn't matter what city you live in, doesn't matter if we're in the same state, if you can help someone, just take the time, listen, and be helpful. It's really important to me.
100%. Spreading love really is what it's all about, right? Because we see how hate spreads. We can see that it runs rampant and it really destroys lives and it destroys relationships. What about if we turn the tables and allowed love to spread without expecting anything in return? Now, universally speaking, if you're that kind of gal, you'll get in return, right? Probably tenfold. And I know, because I know you, that's not why you did it, but that's kind of the way things work, right? And
yep, absolutely.
I mean, how awesome too. I mean, it's just another testimonial to how you work with integrity, that you now have these other business owners that don't know this person, that didn't communicate with this person, and yet they're dropping it like it's hot to come and help you do what what you're passionate about. That right there puts a tear in my eye. I mean, that's freaking awesome.
It's really neat to know, like, you can move mountains, right? With the backing of other people that can help you do it. So don't ever be afraid to ask for help when even if you're helping someone else. I just think it's huge what's the worst they could have said? Like, I didn't have to I didn't have to reach out to those vendors, right? I could have just been like, the easier, quicker thing to do would just be to buy the part and then just figure out the finances behind it. But the better thing to do would be to get another person involved and figure out if the company that actually puts this part out is willing to donate the part. And I mean, the worst they can, like I said, the worst they can say is no, right? I'm not afraid of a no.
Right, exactly. Something I was thinking about as I was sitting home on New Year's Eve, because I didn't go anywhere, but that's okay, because I'm old and that's what happens. But as I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, okay, so this is my 41st time doing New Year's resolutions, right? And I'm like, what's going to be different about this year that, happened last year and the 40 other years before that? And I started to think about my commitment to others. And I'll explain a little bit. So we have our certain emotions and we have our things that happen to us during the day, and that causes us perhaps to react a little bit differently, when things come at us, depending on those circumstances. And I challenged myself to always be sure that somebody leaves me happier than they came. So that even counts with, and I'm a little competitive, so sometimes I have a little trouble with this, okay? But that even counts for like my competitors in my industry. So maybe if I'm having a really, really busy day and I get a few calls from my competitors, have questions or for whatever, or want to talk to me about whatever's going on, right? Maybe I'm a little shorter with them. Maybe I don't share so much to kind of help them out, right? Because, hey, they're my competitor and I'm feeling a little grouchy anyway. And so that has been my commitment to myself since New Year's Eve, is that everybody that comes to me is going to leave me happier. Because why not spread that versus just cause more stress, more negative feeling, more, that kind of thing.
Absolutely agree with that. And it's funny you say that, because even using the words competitor can have a negative shadow, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even use that terminology anymore, because I no longer view anyone as competition. So like at your level and at my level, Katie, we're so successful because we have such passion and knowledge of what we're doing. I don't really even think there's a competitor out there, because we bring the bar to our standards, right? So our level is here. And I'm not saying all of our competitors are below us. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just saying we're in a completely different field, because we meet a different client pool. So our clients will appreciate us for something not everyone can give. And it's funny, because I've actually built a lot of really neat relationships with people in my industry. Like yesterday on Facebook, I was tagged in a couple groups, actually my neighborhood group. Neighbors that I've worked with have done an amazing job at shouting me out here in Power Ranch. And it feels amazing. But there was a company that was tagged that I know the owner personally. He's a great guy. It's funny, we actually met because I was losing an account, and I didn't know it yet, but they had already hired someone else. It's a really long story. We didn't do anything wrong. It just, the technician wasn't a personality fit for the customer. And sometimes you just got to let those go, right? I mean, I could have traded the technician, but honestly, there was more to the story, and it wasn't necessary at the time. I didn't need the account, and the energy just wasn't right. So it was just one of those things. Okay, no worries. But his name's Chase, and I met him in a backyard when he was taking over the account. So he was already back there, and I went back to pick up some of our equipment, and we just got to talking, and we've been in touch ever since. And this was probably 1.5 years, 2 years ago. But I saw his business name basically being trashed online, and I know him and I know his character. So I knew it was something that internalized for me and let him know about, right? Because if he saw it, I would want the same respect. And it was actually the second time that I had seen this same person kind of trashing him online. And so I reached out to him yesterday about it, and he's not competition. You know, we both service the exact same areas, but he's a friend. He's a friend, and we've talked business. We've helped each other grow. There's a lot of things that I've gained just from being able to turn that perception of, well, if I give him this information, will he take it and be more successful than me? I've let all that go because it doesn't really matter. What matters is how we can help each other, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go so much further with being able to allow these people in my life. And you'll weed through the ones that are really out to get information and aren't there to give, and the ones that are really genuinely there to make a relationship. And you guys can help each other, right? And there's nothing better than being able to give and get. I mean, that's what relationships are about, right?
So true. So true. Well, thank you, Jess. It's been awesome having you on today.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's good to see you. I'm glad to learn a little bit about Heath Family Pools, because I actually thought you're going to laugh at me. You'd be like, girl, you don't listen. I actually thought it was like your family business that got passed down to you or something.
Nope.
So here I am admiring you even that much more, like as if I could anymore, but I have. So awesome job.
Thanks, Katie.
Seriously, such an inspiration, and big hugs. And my heart goes out to the woman that you helped and all of the other people that are going to get helped because of that positive energy that you threw out there. And I just warms my heart. I think it's awesome. Jeni, any closing remarks for Jess?
You know, I just want to say, keep putting that positive energy out there. You know, I love what you're putting out there, your vibe, your energy. And I know that, and it's already shown, you're receiving it back. You have great people that you're working with, and you have great clients. And I really love what you're putting out there. You're spreading love, and we need more of that. So keep going.
Thanks, ladies. I appreciate you both.
Awesome. All right, Jeni. Well, before we go, what do we want everybody to do? I wonder if Jess knows. Jess might know, but we won't put her on the spot.
We need you to follow our podcast, and you can find us on Google Podcast or on iTunes, of course. You need to subscribe. You need to download our episodes and give us a 5-star review.
And if you don't think we deserve 5 stars or up, what did you say? Or more?
Yep. Or up.
Yes.
Then just pause on that, listen for a little bit longer, because we happen to think that you'll fall in love relatively quickly. So, all right, Jess. Well, thank you so much. Jessica Heath with Heath Family Pools. It is her business, everybody, not her family's business that got passed down to her. We learned that here today. All right, guys. Have a good one.
You
Thanks,
too.
ladies. Bye.
Bye.